YBC Dul's brutal death shook up the Philly drill scene, but the story behind what really went down is crazier than anyone thought. YBC Dul's death was actually the last death of a wild shooting spree that ended with a teenager and his mom both getting charged with murder. And today, we're gonna break the whole thing down. YBC Dul was killed on August 23, 2024, after some shooters caught him in traffic with his homies and aired out the whip. The shooters crashed out in broad daylight right in front of security cameras, and it didn't take the cops long to start breaking the case down. Just 2 weeks after Dul's death, the cops booked a 16-year-old named Aiden Waters for killing him. According to the cops, YBC Dul wasn't the only dude Aiden Waters took out though. They claim that Aiden Waters was involved with 3 shootings in just 5 days, and the feds have a ton of evidence to put him away for life. Aiden Waters allegedly reps a crew called Fast Break, and the cops said that they were tearing the city up in 2024. But the shootings that ended with YBC Dul getting killed all started with a car getting stolen on August 14th. According to the paperwork, an unnamed witness called Witness Number 2 told the cops that he knew a dude named Julius who stole a 2018 Kia Sportage from an apartment building parking lot so he could sell it to a dude named A-Roy. Then 3 days later, 2 dudes used the Kia when they went to the live casino in South Philly and robbed 2 people at gunpoint. They stole a Rolex, a designer bag, and cash. But luckily, nobody got hurt during that situation. One day after the robbery went down, 2 dudes rode down 500 Centner Street in another stolen whip and started shooting. They hit a 14-year-old in the leg and grazed a 43-year-old dude in the stomach, but the shooters weren't finished yet. Just a few hours later, a teenager named Marquise Saunders was sitting in his car with his homies on the 200 block of East Duncannon Street when the shooters pulled up and started airing out the whip. Marquise Saunders was hit in the head and tragically died later that night. After Marquise Saunders was killed, the shooters dumped the getaway car and set it on fire to get rid of the evidence. But the cops found it a couple hours later, and it was clear to them from the jump that the shooters didn't know how to cover their tracks. One of the shooters had hooked their phone up to the car's system, and that's how the cops were able to get their info and find some crazy jail calls. The cops had already been investigating Fast Break for years. They've been around since 2022, and back then, they were called Headshot Gang. And before the cops started solving the YBC Dul hit, they had already booked a couple Fast Break affiliates for murder. Ryan Purcell allegedly killed a dude named Christopher Dowling in February 2024, and a month later, a Fast Break member named Anil Bugs allegedly shot 8 teenagers outside of a high school. When the cops found the burned getaway whip and tracked the phone calls, they found a jail call where a Fast Break affiliate told Ryan Purcell he was smoking Marmar, which was allegedly a reference to Marquise Saunders. And in another call, Aiden Waters told Ryan Purcell that there were 2 different scrimmages in one day. Scrimmages are what they call shootings, and a slam dunk was when they actually killed someone. According to the cops, Aiden Waters self-snitched like crazy about the 2 shootings that went down on the same day when he told Ryan Purcell they had 1 slam dunk and 1 went in and out. At the time, nobody knew that the whips getting stolen, the robbery at the casino, and the shootings were all connected. But Fast Break was crashing out like crazy, and they weren't finished yet. On August 23rd, YBC Dul and his homie Baby 35th Street were driving down the road when a stolen Kia Sportage pulled up next to him. Dul and Baby 35th Street were blocked in by traffic and couldn't get out of the way. And that's when the dudes in the Sportage started shooting. Dul got hit at least 3 times, and by the time he got to the hospital, it was already too late. The shooters drove off and burned the whip, but the cops found it and were still able to get fingerprints off of it and found some shell cases inside too. By that point, the cops already had a bunch of evidence, but they still didn't know how everything was connected. At first, they didn't even know exactly where YBC Dul had been killed, but then the video of his death came out and the cops went to the scene and found more shell casings. The biggest piece of evidence they had was the jail calls where Fast Break affiliates were talking about the shootings. Then the cops dusted the Kia Sportage for prints and found 3 different sets inside the whip. One of the fingerprints came from witness number 2. He's the one who told the cops about Julius stealing the Kia and selling it to A-Roy. A-Roy's real name is Aiden Waters, and it turns out that witness number 2 was lying to the cops at first. Witness number 2 claimed he didn't have anything to do with stealing the whip and had never been inside of it, but later he told the cops a different story. Witness number 2 had been booked for a gun charge one day before YBC Dul got killed, and he gave the cops a ton of info about Fast Break. Witness number 2 said he had hung out with A-Roy a few times but didn't know his real name. He gave the cops A-Roy's Instagram handle though, and the cops knew that it was Aiden Waters' IG. On August 31st, the cops went to Aiden Waters' crib with a search warrant, and that's when they really broke the whole case open. When they went inside the crib, the cops found a loaded 10mm Glock with a switch and extended magazine in Aiden Waters' room. They also found an empty 9mm gun box and a Rolex, which allegedly came from the robbery at the casino before all the shootings went down. Then the cops went to the basement and found 8 cell phones and a 9mm Glock that had been reported stolen. Aiden Waters told the cops that he found the 10mm Glock at Fisher Park a few days before, but the 9mm Glock in the basement was the biggest piece of evidence. The cops already had a ton of ballistic evidence from the shootings, and the 9mm Glock matched all 3 of them. Aiden Waters got booked on 2 murder counts, 6 attempts, and other charges, but the cops weren't done yet. The next dude they booked was an alleged Fast Break affiliate named Rashawn Williams. His prints were found in the Kia Sportage that was used during the YBC Dul hit too. Then they booked a 3rd alleged shooter named Nair Briscoe. According to the cops, Aiden Waters, Rashawn Williams, and Nair Briscoe were all celebrating YBC Dul's death. And Nair Briscoe even told one of his homies that he killed Dul. According to the cops, Nair Briscoe was talking to someone on Instagram and said, "You're talking to one of the killers right now." That still wasn't the end of the story though, because Aiden Waters' mom, LaToya Donaldson, got wrapped up in the case too. She had a ring security system in her crib, and when the cops got the footage, they caught her allegedly handing a rifle to Rashawn Williams right before the YBC Dul hit, and now she's facing a murder charge too. Helping your son and his homies kill their ops is crazy, but this isn't the first time LaToya has been wrapped up in some legal drama. She was arrested back in October for drug possession, receiving stolen property, and possession of an instrument of crime, and the case is still open. Between 2009 and 2018, LaToya was also arrested for multiple counts of theft and spent a few months in jail. She has a long rap sheet for drugs and theft already, but this is definitely the most serious case of her life, and a lot of people are already saying that she'll flip on her son and the rest of the crew to save herself. Aiden has no past criminal record, and when he was a kid, he was a track star. In 2017, when he was only 7 years old, he was even on the cover of ESPN magazine for being a national champion in the 1500 meter. But it seems like his environment made him go down a different path, and now he's facing some serious charges, including murder, arson, conspiracy, and gun charges. Aiden Waters was the first dude they booked for killing YBC Dul, but now the cops don't think he was actually there when it went down. They said that Nair Briscoe and Rashawn Williams are the ones who pulled the trigger on YBC Dul, but Aiden Waters is still going to go to trial because he helped plan the hit and is the one who allegedly bought the stolen whips and gave them the guns. The cops don't think Aiden Waters was on the YBC Dul hit, but they claim that he killed Marquise Saunders with Nair Briscoe. Both of them were allegedly bragging about the shooting after it went down, and Nair Briscoe told someone that he left Marquise Saunders' head in his lap. The situation isn't looking good for anyone in the case right now, especially because the cops are already working with witness number 2 and getting info from them. But even without the snitching, there was already a ton of evidence against the shooters. The cops had cell phone records, surveillance footage, and a gun that matched all 3 shootings. Plus, they were all bragging about the hits on social media, so it was only a matter of time before the cops put it all together. It seems like the case is pretty much closed already, but a lot of people are still wondering why Fast Break crashed out on YBC Dul like that. Some people think they just did it for the clout because YBC Dul is one of the hottest street rappers in the city, but there's also rumors going around that YBC Dul's ops paid for the hit. YBC Dul had a ton of buzz on his name, but a lot of that came from him being one of the most disrespectful rappers in the game. He had ops all over Philly and was allegedly getting into shootouts in other cities too. People started calling Dul Mr. Disrespectful because he was dissing the ops so much, and there were a lot of sets that would want to take him out. Fast Break had already been crashing out, and everyone knew they had shooters in the crew, so if it was a paid hit, then it would make sense that they'd be given the job. There's also rumors that Fast Break killed YBC Dul because he was dissing a dude named Sir from the Mont. YBC Dul dissed him on tracks like The Wait Is Over when he rapped, "Sir from the Mont died in that V just like Paul Walker. We ain't need a drop on Q Rizzy. We caught that nigga walking." YBC had a lot of beef with the Mont, and some people think YBC Dul was involved with the hit on Sir from the Mont. And according to some sources, Sir from the Mont had family ties to Fast Break, but there's no proof that the YBC Dul hit was actually personal for Fast Break. Fast Break was really chasing clout in the streets, and right now it looks like they just saw the opportunity to take out a big name and jumped on it. Fast Break doesn't even have a lot of rappers in the crew, and they just been crashing out. Plus, there's no evidence that anyone's been paying them for hits. Nobody really knows why Fast Break took Dul out yet, but there's already one witness working with the cops, so the truth will probably come out eventually. And if they were actually paid for killing Dul, the cops probably already know about it, and they'll be making more arrests soon.